The town of Blackthorn was a place forgotten by time. Nestled deep in the woods, it was a patchwork of crumbling cottages, overgrown paths, and whispered legends. The most infamous of these legends was the Whispering Well. It stood at the edge of the forest, an ancient stone structure covered in moss and ivy. The townsfolk said it was cursed, that it had been dug by a madman centuries ago. They claimed it wasn't water that flowed at the bottom, but something darker, something alive. No one went near the well, not after what happened to the Miller family. But Clara didn't believe in curses. She was new to Blackthorn, a city girl who had moved to the countryside for peace and quiet. When she heard the stories, she laughed them off. "Superstitious nonsense," she said. That was before the whispers started. It began on a cold, moonless night. Clara was walking home from the market, her arms laden with groceries, when she heard it. A faint, almost imperceptible sound, like someone calling her name. "Clara." She stopped, her breath catching in her throat. The voice was soft, melodic, but there was something wrong with it, something unnatural. "Who's there?" she called, her voice trembling. Silence. She shook her head, chalking it up to the wind, and hurried home. But the whispers didn't stop. They followed her, growing louder, more insistent. "Clara, come to the well." By the third night, she couldn't take it anymore. Armed with a flashlight and a knife, just in case, she made her way to the edge of the forest. The well loomed before her, its stone mouth gaping like a hungry beast. "This is ridiculous," she muttered, trying to convince herself. "It's just an old well." But as she approached, the whispers grew louder, echoing in her mind. "Clara, look inside." Her hands trembled as she shone the flashlight into the well. The beam of light disappeared into the darkness, revealing nothing but crumbling stone walls. "There's nothing here," she said, her voice shaking. Then she heard it, a sound that made her blood run cold. Laughter. It bubbled up from the depths of the well, low and guttural, like the sound of water choking a drain. Clara stumbled back, her heart pounding. "Who's down there?" she demanded, her voice barely a whisper. The laughter stopped, replaced by a voice that made her skin crawl. "You shouldn't have come," it said. Before she could react, something shot out of the well, a thick black tendril, slick with something that glistened in the moonlight. It wrapped around her ankle, yanking her off her feet. Clara screamed, clawing at the ground as she was dragged toward the well. The tendril was impossibly strong, pulling Dee closer and closer to the gaping mouth. "No, let me go," she shrieked. The whispers returned, louder now, overlapping in a cacophony of voices. "You shouldn't have come. You shouldn't have come." Clara's fingers scraped against the stone rim of the well as she was pulled over the edge. For a moment, she hung there, staring into the abyss. And then she saw it. At the bottom of the well was a swirling black void, pulsating like a living thing. Faces emerged from the darkness, their features twisted in agony, their mouths open in silent screams. "Welcome," the voices whispered. Clara's grip slipped and she fell. The next morning, the townsfolk found Clara's flashlight and knife lying by the well. There was no sign of her, but the ground around the well was torn up, as if something had dragged her into the depths. They sealed the well that same day, covering it with a heavy stone slab. But the whispers didn't stop. To this day, if you stand too close to the well, you can hear them, soft, insistent, and filled with malice. Come to the well, and if you're foolish enough to look inside, you might just see Clara's face staring back at you, her eyes wide with terror, her mouth forming a single word.
Run!